key. We are regularly publish our Bucero's newsletter. We have regularly organized our GSDP course. GSDP course stand for the Green Skill Development Program. This program is only for the youth, those who are unemployed. And once they complete this course, they will get the skill. And with the help of this skill, they might get the job in the relevant subject. So apart from that, in the newsletter, we have covered all activities related to the EIACP program. Even we will publish the articles, which is very informative articles, and I hope all the article definitely you will like. And all our previous published Bucero's newsletter are available on our website. So I will post the website link in our chat group, so you will access the websites and download all the Bucero's newsletter. Also, we regularly publish the knowledge product, means the poster related to birds. Recently, we had published the poster on the poster uh, like birds. It's a bustards of India, then endemic birds of Western Ghat, sunbirds of India. There are a number of posters which are already published, and it's also available on our website. Apart from that, if you have any queries related to birds, you can just send an email to us. We will definitely reply to your email. Also, recently we have launched 3 mobile application. One is for bird identification, second is for the bibliography, and third is for the data collections. And all our mobile applications are available on our Google Play Store, so you can download, and it's freely available even in our AV eco-based mobile applications, which is basically made for the student who are doing research in birds, even the scientists, those who are regularly publish their papers. So these are the ready-made information mobile app available on our Google Play Store. So definitely you will gather this opportunity, and I hope if there is any suggestions related to this mobile app, you can send it to us. So thank you, Pooja. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. So today we gather here virtually from different corners of the world to delve into the captivating words of Mangrove. Before we embark on this journey of discovery, let's take a moment to understand what mangroves are. Mangroves are unique group of salt-tolerant trees and shrubs that thrive in intertidal zones of tropical and subtropical coastline. This incredible ecosystem not only provides the habitat for diverse range of species, but also offer an array of ecological, economic, and social benefits to humanity, and play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of our planet's ecosystem. Dear participants, this webinar is held to honor the occasion of International Day for Conservation of Mangrove Ecosystems, which is celebrated on 26 July. The purpose of this webinar is to raise the awareness about the significance of mangroves and shed light on their crucial role in mitigating climate change, preserving biodiversity, and safeguarding coastal communities from natural disaster. So, without further delay, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Ms. Kiran Thumma. Kiran did her master degree in botany from St. Xavier College, Mumbai, and currently working with BNHS as an education officer. She served as an assistant professor at Wilson College, where she taught botany to graduate students. She also has previous experience working with the National Productive Consulting Bill, where one of her responsibility was to oversee and examine the plantation carried out by the Forestry Department of several states. She has credited garden design for the numerous organizations and collaborate with NGOs on tree planting and geotagging. Kiran ma'am, handed to over you.
Thank you, Pooja, for the introduction. I'll share my screen and then we can start with the presentation.
Yes, Kiran. It's
Yes. Wait, I'll share it again, sir.
yeah. Please share again.
So, hello everyone. Good morning. Am I audible clearly, sir? Hello.
Yes, Kiran, you are audible.
Yeah. And the screen is visible clearly. Hello. Screen. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes. Thank you. So now we can start with a presentation, and I welcome you all for this presentation on mangroves. As I said, today is celebrated at International Mangrove Day for the conservation. So let's understand what mangroves are. Mangrove, the word, the term mangrove has originated from a Senegal word, mangue, which means into the sea. Mangrove literally means cruise into the sea. And mangroves are botanically termed categorized into halophytes. Halophytes are the plants which can tolerate a salt. So as I told, mangroves are something which grows into a sea. So in sea, the challenge is sea water has a salt. So the mangroves are some plant which can tolerate a salt, and mangroves are the species which grow in intertidal region. What is intertidal region? Means they grow between soil and a water bodies. That means they grow near the sea or a mud flat, and you can find them in the subtropic and subtropic region of subtropic and subtropic ecosystem. Where it requires minimum 24 degree Celsius temperature, and in India, mangrove is distributed all over the coast. The largest mangrove forest of the world is Sundarban, which is shared by India and Bangladesh. So these are the few a main or a characteristic features of the mangrove. And so why mangroves are near the mudflats, or why mangroves are near the sea, why they are not at the land? It is believed that mangroves have evolved from land, from land to sea. So they are not something which have come from sea to the land, but they are something which were all so in forest, in normal ground or in normal terrestrial plants. So there is a lot of competition here for the space in the terrestrial space. So that's why there are some species which have gone towards the sea or towards the water body to avoid competition, like mangroves. So there are these territorial forests. So there is space problem over here, because all the species are going. So to avoid a space problem, to avoid the competition, there are some species which started growing towards the sea in order to avoid this competition. So they have gone here. So there is no space problem over here, but the problem over here, because this is completely new habitat. So apart from space, there is every other problem you can face here. It's just like we humans, when we shift to a new country or a new state, which is completely new to it, we face different problems. Like language is a problem over there. We don't know, how's the culture over there, the speech over there. Similarly, when a plant, which has moved from terrestrial to mangrove, it's completely new habits. So mangrove has overcome all these habits. It have adapted itself, it has evolved itself. So we will see how it has overcome all the challenges. Just like every species have the problem. So even mangroves have the problem, and they have changed themselves, involved themselves to survive over here. So what is a similarity between both? You know, the similarity between both is both of them protect the coast. One from the human terror and another from the nature terror. Mangroves are the soldier of the coast. I can say this because according to the World Conservation Union, they have compared the death rates of two villages in Sri Lanka. Two people has died where where they have compared a death rate of two villages where there had a flood. So only two people have died uh, where there were dense forest of mango, and where there were no mangrove forest, there over 6,000 people has died because of the giant wave. Giant wave. So mangroves are true coastal guard, something which save us from the terror of nature. So their roots are so much that they can lower the waves, they can, calm the waves, and they can uh, prevent the destruction. So let's understand these powerful roots. So before that, we will try to learn roots of the mangrove. We'll try to explain the roots of the mangroves. But before that, let's understand the basics. Like from childhood onwards, we have been taught that plants take carbon dioxide and give out an oxygen. That is true. But with what we have been not taught that even plants needs an oxygen, and plants need an oxygen and they give out a carbon dioxide. Plants make their own food, but along with making their food, they also need to consume their food for energy. So after consuming their food, they need oxygen to break down that food, to digest their food, to break down their food. So that's why they need an oxygen. So every part of the plant needs an oxygen. So the plant which is above the ground, they do a photosynthesis and they get an oxygen. So, but the plant part which is below the ground, that is root, how they will get an oxygen? So in case of agriculture, that's why in agriculture they do plowing so that they can loosen the soil and roots can get a good aeration. In wild, you might have seen they say earthworms are a good friend of a farmer because they make soil loose and there is an aeration. In wild, in forest, there are many insects, animals. They burrow, so that's how they will get the aeration and the good water, even water reach till the deep. So we might have seen people do right, don't walk on the lawn, because you keep walking on the lawn, the soil become compact due to the footsteps and air can't pass through it, and due to that grasses die, the shallow compact. So healthier lawn is the one which has an aeration. So now the challenges with mangrove is that mangrove grows in a mudflat, a clay-like soil, where soil is so compact that air can't pass through. So due to extreme lack of the oxygen in the soil, leads to the formation of hydrogen sulfide gas. So whenever you might have visited this mudflat or khadi area, you might have smell. You might have sensed, or you might have smelled the smell of the rotten egg. That's the smell of hydrogen sulfide, the gas which is formed due to a lack of oxygen in the soil. So that this happened, and the soil is so compact that it's difficult to walk in that swamps. You need to have proper shoes. If you wear a normal sandal, your sandal will break. That compact the soil is. So, but that's why then you have to think, the soil is so compact, then how roots will get air. As air can go down, the roots have come down. So the soil is so compact that air can go up. So air can go down. So the roots have come up, and these roots are known as nematophores. These are known as breathing roots. They are there and they have the spores. I hope you can see the pores. These are breathing pore. These pores are known as lenticels, just like our nose. These are for breathing. The roots have come up to breathe. Now roots have come up to breathe. Now who will hold the soil? So roots are something which are there to hold the plant. Roots are something which they are there to hold the trees. If they are coming up, who will hold the soil? So for that reason, mangrove have two types of roots. One is this nematophore type of roots for the breathing, and other roots which are there to keep for the holding soil. And as let's say we have seen, mangroves grow in a saline area, or mangroves grow in a soil condition where they have to frequently get hit by the waves. So they need to have a special kind of roots, like this knee kind of root. So due to this, anchoring is good. A slit type of root. The function of this is mangrove to ensure it gets a good space, to ensure it gets a good anchoring. So it can, this kind of root is just like a skirt. So this can take a huge waves. This can take a rough waves. It can also take, sometimes it can also take the hurricanes. So mangrove has evolved. So the trees, people do talk about animal evolution, but no one talks about a plant evolution. Plant can't move from one place to another place. They are intact. They are rooted in one place. So they have evolved to be in that one place, and they've evolved to face whatever changes, whatever challenges of the surrounding. Animals can move to different places, if they see the challenges, but plants can't. So they have evolved wherever they are, and to survive. So now we have seen, so far we have seen about roots. Now another challenge of a mangrove is the salt. All the organism needs salt in small amount, but excess of salt is lethal to everyone, even for the plant who grows in a salt. So mangrove grows in a salt water, but excess of salt is even harmful for the mangroves. So mangrove is something which grows between freshwater and seawater. So salinity changes with a tide. So how mangrove deals with the salt, we will see. First of all, mangrove don't allow salt to enter in its body. So most of the salt get filtered at the root level. At root level, they just try to take a fresh water. They filter the salt and try to take a fresh water for their growth. And in some species, they limit the salt intake and filtering the salt at a root level. All the filtering is done and fresh water is taken inside. Second is they excrete the excess of salt through the leaves. The leaves has a gland which remove the excess of salt. You can see the salt crystals on the leaves, and if you can even taste this. It's just the salt, and over a period of time, this salt on the leaves get cleared by the wind or the rain. Other way to deal with the salt is, in some species of mangrove, excess of salt is accumulated on the older leaves and older bark. So whenever the salt is excess, and then when the leaf gets old, they get shaded. In that way, even excess salt gets shaded. So they're growing in salt water, but they're making it possible to avoid salt. So for mangrove, fresh water is really important. They're surrounded by the water, but they behave like a desert water where they sometimes hold fresh water. Another challenge of a mangrove is a transpiration. You know that water roots absorb a water, and many of this water gets evaporated through the leaves. So mangroves, which are growing in a salt water, have a limited fresh water, and they can't afford evaporation.
Kiran, sorry for disturbance. I think your PPT is not visible. So
Okay, I'll
please
share present.
share again your PPT.
Visible. It's visible.
Hello, hello, Kiran. Am I audible? I think I request the participant, please don't share your screen. Again, I request all the participants, please don't share your screen. Kiran, I request you, please share your screen.
Hello. Hello, is it visible now?
No, not yet, not yet.
Visible.
Visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes. Please continue. Yeah, now it's visible, clearly visible. Please continue.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just share it. Yeah. So as I was saying, there is a shortage of fresh water for a mangrove. Even if it's surrounded by the water, it has a shortage of fresh water, and it can't afford to lose a water through transpiration. And transpiration is something which is unavoidable. You have a sun, and it takes up a water. It takes up a water. So this is something which is unavoidable. But this rate of transpiration can be lowered by forming a thick leaf or having a waxy coating on the leaf. So just like a desert plants, the desert plant also don't want, even in the desert, there is a shortage of water. So even they don't want to lose a water. So that's why when they have a waxy coating to prevent a loss of water. So even mangrove have a waxy coating to prevent a lot water. In some species, the spores are at backside. So these are some ways in which they try to reduce the rate of evaporation. So the pores are at backside, away from the sun. The next interesting characteristic of mangrove is vivipary. So vivipary, it's like human species lay their egg outside their body, and in that egg, a life develops. But in case of human, the egg is inside a female body, and the individual develop inside a female body, and we give birth to which give birth to a live baby. So even in a mangrove, this happens. In vivipary occur when seed or embryo develop before they detach from a plant. So in case of mango, when the fruit is ripened, it falls off from the seed, falls off from the tree, and inside the fruit, the seed is there. And the seed, if you keep it in a soil, it will germinate. It will grow into a plant. It will form into a seedling. Whereas in mangrove, it has a fruit. It has a fruit and seed. This seed germinate while it's on the tree. While it's on the tree, it will germinate, and it will also develop a roots. So this is a fruit. Usually, what happens in case of mango, inside the fruit there is a seed, and this seed, when you keep it in a soil, they will give a sapling. But in case of mango, this fruit is there, and these roots are developed when they're still attached. This radical develops. Radical roots are developed. These are still developed when they're attached to the mother plant. Why this vivipary in mangrove? Because if the seeds fall down, it will be difficult for the seeds to germinate. So in soil, it's easy for this, for seeds to germinate. But in salt water, it's extremely difficult because the amount of oxygen is less. Because salinity, the salt is more. It's not an ideal condition or ideal environment for seed to germinate. So that's why they do this germination thing while they're attached to their mother plant. So the stone is stuck. So that's why you don't call this as a seed. In botanical term, you call this as a propagule. Because in this propagule, you can see it's green in color. It can do synthesis while it attached to its mother tree. The parent tree, keeps applying it a water and necessary nutrition, just like a mother supplies nutrition and water to a child which is in womb. Similarly, way a plant supplies all the nutrition and water to the propagule which is attached to the mother plant. And usually this propagule, as it develops, this propagule become heavy and bulky, and they get attached from the parent plant and they float in a water. So they kind of float in a water, and it can quickly establish whenever it will find a soil or whenever it will find a mud flight. So it will keep on. So it is believed that mangroves are world traveler because these propagules of the mangrove can float more than an year before taking a root. Whenever it reach a proper mud flat, proper place, brackish water or a fresh water, wherever the ideal conditions are there, this this propagule will settle down, send its roots, and develop into a mangroves. So even a one propagule will have a capacity to develop a whole ecosystem. Within 10 years, its roots will spread, sprouts, and a single seedling can give rise to a thick entire thicket of a mangroves. So it is very important that we don't disturb the ecosystem. Nature has a capacity to revive itself. What we have to do is sometimes that we don't have to disturb everything. So let's see some of the species of the mangrove, like Avicennia. Avicennia is among the first mangrove species to establish itself in a new habitat. If you happen to visit any mangrove habitat, you will definitely able to see this Avicennia species. The specialty about this species is it's very a strong tree, and it can survive in number of ecotypes. You might have seen this mudslides or a hardy area. Most of the time, people consider this as a wasteland. So they dump pollutant, heavy metals. So this species can withstand all of that. It can tolerate a various weather condition. It can tolerate various species of pests and diseases. So it's a very hardy and strong plant. And another use of mosquito is like mangrove area. You might have observed mangrove area is ideal for mosquito breeding because of the conditions. So this what coastal people do is they burn smoke of this wood, Avicennia, to repel, which the smoke from it is an efficient mosquito repellent. Next is Rhizophora. You might have seen it has a skirt-like roots for anchoring. So Avicennia has this. If way to have identify Avicennia could be these two features, like skirt-like root plus a red stipule. It has a red stipule to protect a new leaf. And the young shoot of this Rhizophora is eaten as a vegetable. And not only humans, even crab loves the leaves of it. The timber of Rhizophora is used as a firewood. It's also used for the construction. Soneracia alba. Soneracia alba refers to the white flower. Its flowers look like a powder puff. These are the stamens of the plant, due to which it gets an appearance. So Soneracia alba is also a very interesting plant. It's also known as mangrove apple because it looks like apple. Next is Agisaria corniculata. Locally, some people also call it as a mirchi because it sometimes looks like a mirchi. This plant always often grow together in form of thicket. This plant gets rid of excess of salt using the leaves. So in this species and Avian species, you can see the salt on the leaves. And flower has good amount of nectar. You can see there are bees over there here. So beekeeping is done. So in mangrove area is also helpful for the locals. They can do beekeeping because there are many flowers which attract a bee, and it can be a good source of income. Sorry. Next is Brugueria. This is also another species of a mangrove. Another way of Brugueria gymnorrhiza. Gymnorrhiza means roots, and gymno means a naked, referring to its knee root. This species has a knee type root, and identification character, it's like it has this kind of a calyx, bright red calyx, just like a brinjal has a calyx. Similar way, this has a calyx when it is in flowering and as well when it is in fruiting. And again, the wood is used for a firewood and also for construction. And it believes that the wood of Brugueria is rot resistant. This is Exopharia avalocha. The characteristic of this plant is that it's believed that all part of this plant are poisonous. If you just pluck the leaf, it will give out a latex, and that latex is poisonous. It believed that the latex can make you temporarily blind. And the milky latex of and another characteristic feature is like you can see some of the leaves have turned into a reddish color or a orangish color, and some of the older leaves are orangish color, and young leaves are green in color. And they have two types of flowers, male flower and female flowers. Next is Electeria litoris. See, this is a Sundari tree. And this Sundarban got its name due to this tree, which is known as a Sundari tree. So you can easily recognize this tree because it has, underside has a silvery scales. Upper side it has a green color and underside it has a silvery color. So this again a tough species of a mangrove, resistant to salt kind of water, and this has a buttresses of root, this kind of root which will help them to anchor for a good anchoring. So in mangrove, mangrove can be categorized into two groups based on their morphology and physiology, like true mangrove and mangrove associate. True mangrove occur only in a mangrove habitat, whereas this mangrove associates plants which can occur in wetland as well as in terrestrial habitat or also in a desert habitat. So for example, so that's what I said. True mangrove occur only in mangrove habitat, and mangrove associate can occur in wetland as well as in terrestrial. Mangroves are known as mangroves because they have specialized morphology and physiological adaptation, whereas mangrove associate don't have any such adaptation. Mangrove are salt tolerant, but mangrove associate are not that salt tolerant. They can't tolerate a salt. They can to small extent, but not as much as a mangrove can. So this sea holly is also known as Acanthus iliifolus. It has a spiny edge on the leaves, And this is one of the commonest species of a mangrove associate, which you will see in a mangrove habitat. Next is Salvadora, which is a miswa. Again, it has a thick leaf to survive saline and dry condition. Not only in mangrove habitat, even in the desert habitat, even in a dry habitat, you can see this Salvadora or miswa. Salmon are a butterfly. You know, you will only find this butterfly in mangrove habitat, and that butterfly lays eggs in this Salvadora persica plant. And as you know, miswak, the root or stem of this plant, is popular as a dhatu. So depending upon the region, people use a dhatu. In many use neem. Where neem is not available, people use their miswak. The mangrove people, the mangrove habitat, people use miswak. In some places, people use mango stick. In some places, akada. So depending upon what is available, people use that stick, that stem or a root as a dhatu. This is Syzygium. Again, this is a herbaceous plant you will find in a mangrove habitat, which is used for cooking vegetable. It looks like a portulaca. So this plant has a lot of salt. So when you cook it, you need to boil it multiple times to get rid of the soil. So this is one of the species. And this is a fern mangrove fern. It's only limits. This fern you will find in mangrove area, and it can tolerate some amount of salinity. So depending upon, mangrove species are generally distributed in different zones in a coastal habitat. This zonation is determined by a tidal change, elevation of land, and salinity of soil and water. So the three zones are like proximal zone, which is towards the sea. Then you have a middle zone, and then you have distant zone. So depending upon that, the species has evolved. So all the proximal zone toward the sea, as I told you, this rhizospora, scut-like toward the sea, Avicennia or Suneraceae as mangrove apple. Middle zone have rhizospora, which have roots like this. So depending upon the zonation, mangroves have evolved. So now we'll see ecological, what are the function and services of mangrove. So the first is whenever we see the benefits of in any plants or any species, we need to consider both economy as well as the ecology. Sadly, people don't consider as an ecological role nowadays. So first is a roosting and a nesting space. Mangrove is made home for many shorebirds and migratory birds. There are migratory birds. These trees are nesting or roosting site for them. Mangrove provide ideal habitat for breeding ground, because as their water habitat, all the shore birds can get fish, shrimps, crabs, shellfishes. So many fish species, fishivorous plant take shelter and find their food near a mangrove habitat. So mangroves are really a habitat, really important. And it is also a breeding ground for the fishes. This you can see. It just kind of covers it, so it kind of protects it. So many species of fishes lay egg in this space. So it's mangrove is also referred as a nursery of the sea. And leaf litter. As I told you, there are many species of the mangroves which drop their leaf after they have stored salt in it, excess of salt in it. So when this leaf decay, it becomes a food for small fishes, crabs, shrimps. And mangrove is also eatery place. It's a cafe for many birds and animals. So even birds know that mangrove is a fishing ground. Like you can find many fishes near the roots. And also mangrove protects us from the coast. Mangrove protects us from the tsunami, cyclone, floods, all kind of nature disaster. We spend crores of rupees in disaster management and relief packages, but mangrove can protect us free of cost. The prevention is better than a cure. Cure. So that's why I think mangrove plantation or safeguarding a mangrove is very important. And economic importance of mangrove is like fishing. So mangrove provide idle fishing zone, small ponds, small tidal. So it provides a fishing ground. So small fishermen are dependent upon these mangroves for their livelihood. Next is timber. The coastal region of mangroves, coastal region people are dependent upon mangrove for their timber and fuel woods. Tannins are chemicals mostly used by tanner to convert animal skin into a leather. So mangrove wood has a lot of tannin. So Indian fishermen use this tannin to dye their fish net and to enhance the durability of the fishing net. Tannin is also used as a medicine. So mangrove, as I told you, mangrove forest give a rare kind of honey. So in the market, you might have seen there are different types of honey you get, like jamun honey, mango honey, acacia honey. So even there are black mangroves kind of honey. So how you identify the honey? How you will know that this is a jamun honey or this is a mangrove honey? Uh, you can't know that by using a taste or a smell or a color. The only way to check is you have to see it through a microscope. You need to check for the pollen grain. If they are saying it's a jamun honey, you need to find you should able to see a jamun pollen grain in it. And medicine. The coastal people use mangroves for all kind of their illnesses and weakness and for all of the disease. So threats to the mangrove ecosystem are like climate change, like natural threats like climate change, sea level rise, temperature rise, salinity rise, cyclone, tsunami. So powerful storm can damage mangrove habitat, wind, waves, floods. Maybe strong wind waves may be destructive, maybe destructive enough to damage the entire mangrove island. Other kind of damage can be of a disease and pest, like a large number of caterpillars finishing off entire mangrove or infecting a mangrove. And human activities, of course, the construction, as I told you, the khadi area or a wetland often considered as a wasteland. People don't understand the importance of the mangrove until and unless we face a difficulty. So most of the time that land is reclaimed and we do a construction. So when there is a waterlogging, when there are floods, still we are not able to realize that we are destructing a nature. Due to that, we are facing the problem. So dumping ground, as I told you, mangrove is considered as a dumping ground. So there are mangrove species which can tolerate a pollutant and toxicity and heavy metals, but there are limitation to it. So the way the amount of waste is so much that most of the time they can't tolerate this much, and mangrove species die because already they are in locked environment, and this trash make it's difficult for them to survive. And human encroachment. So as I told you, most of people encroach land near the mangrove. And even chemical factories and all these factories are near the mangrove habitat so that they can release their effluent in the mangroves, and no one can know it. So these are the news that Mumbai has lost 20 acres of mangrove forest to the debris in the last 7 years. And due to encroaching as well, Mumbai has lost a lot of mangroves. So if mangroves are lost, so there will be ecosystem degradation. There will be decline in a fish and wildlife population. There will be more floods and more floods and waterlogging. And mangroves, because of their roots, because of the mud-flight nature, they filter water, they improve the water quality. But if mangroves are not there, the filtration system is not there, so there will be more pollution in our sea, the more pollution in the water bodies. So what we can do, we can take part in plantation. We can we can sign in, we can stop a mangrove destruction, we can continuously survey the mangrove area and mangrove habitat, so that most of the people don't go into that habitat of mangrove, because mangrove has all the environment lover can visit it, because you get a good sighting of birds, as well as you can do a tree spotting. So continuous monitoring and survey of that area, it should be done, so that citizens are aware and no malpractice is done in that area. And awareness of importance of the mangrove is not only, so many people don't even know what term mangrove is. So awareness is very important, that how a simple species can save us from the nature terror. So we need to join hands, and in this way we can safeguard our ecosystem. So thank you. So this was the end of the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Kiran. Thank you very much. I would like to request all participants, if there is any questions, the chat box is open, so you can type your question in chat box. So accordingly, our expert Ms. Kiran Thumma will reply to your question. So kindly I request you, please type your question in chat box.
How can Tarun is asking, how can we go for the sapling plantation? So there are many NGOs which are coming for doing a mangrove plantation near the coast. So you can join them and do so. And if you go to mangrove area, there are some people who have developed mangrove nursery. So all the propagules which I have told you, fruit-like thing, they give it, they sell it. So that can be done for the mangrove sapling or mangrove plantation. So United Ways in Mumbai is one which has been worked for a mangrove plantation. BNHS has done a mangrove plantation, done a mangrove plantation. So you can support this organization and go as a volunteer. Most of the time they call for the volunteer. You can individual level, if you can do it. If not, you can join this organization. Mangrove does contribute a carbon sequestration a lot, so it's very a good plant when you if you get a good score of a mangrove when you look for the carbon sequestration. About Himali is asking about mangrove nursery and mangrove plantation in Goa. Sorry, ma'am, I don't know about Goa. I just know about Mumbai, where it can be done. How to identify true mangrove from the mangrove associate. The difference is like mangrove associate are near the mangroves are mostly towards the sea, and mangrove associate are at the out edge. And mangrove associate will not show any characters like viviparity is one thing you can notice. So mangrove associate will have a normal fruit, just like mango has a fruit. They won't show the viviparity, whereas true mangrove will show the viviparity. They will have a fruit which is completely developed into a propagule. So wetland, I can't artificially create a wetland ecosystem. It's uh, you can create kind of even forest can't be artificially created, but if you plant Miyawaki and all that, it kind of. But wetland ecosystem is something which you can't create it. Because it's complete mixture of salinity and other things are there. So artificially it can't be done. Pratima is asking how deep mangrove roots are compared to inland forest. Yeah, they're good. They have in-depth roots because they have mangroves have specially focused on the roots. They have breeding roots as well as different types of slit root, knee root, and they have good anchorage because they are facing the waves and other things. Natasha is asking in which area around Mumbai you can find Salvadora. Salvadora persica you can find in NRI complex. You can also find Salvadora in Mandu pumping station. Salvador, most of the, even Kandivali, Khadi area, most of the Khadi area of Mumbai is something you can find a Salvadora. So as I told you, NRI complex has a Salvadora as well as Bhatu pumping station. Kandivali side has some mangrove area. Even there, Salvadora is seen. And along with Salvadora, you can also see the butterfly, as I told you, Salmonerum butterfly.
So thank you, Kiran.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think there is no question. So I request Ms. Pooja Gosavi to conclude the session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. Before kick out the session, I would like to extend heartfelt appreciation to all for making this event possible. Thank you all once again for being a part of this enlightening webinar. Together, let's work toward the forest, fostering the greater appreciation for the nature wonders that are mangroves and take a step to ensure their sustainable future. Thank you all.
So again, I can see there are three to four participants has raised their hand. So I request all the participants, you can write your email, you can write your questions. I will give the email in chat box. So you just write your question. So our expert will give the answer accordingly. And one more thing, we will upload this webinar on our BNHS-EIACP YouTube channel. So you will get the, if you have missed any part or any slide, then it's good for you. Even you can share through your groups. So many people will take these benefits. So thank you, Kiran, and thank you all participants for your patience, and thank you all my team members. Especially in my team member, we have Natasha Girkar, Pooja Gosavi, Suraj Gosavi. So all are our team members, those who have made their efforts. So and one more thing, like we will regularly organize this webinar, and we have already, as I told you, we already published a lot of knowledge products. So we as a BNHS EIACP, we have a free membership. So if you avail this membership, you can just visit our websites and we have given the contact details. You just send an email or you just fill a Google form, which is available on our website. So once you submit this Google form, we will consider you as a BNHS-EIACP free member. So you will get the Bucero's newsletter. Either if you want a hard copy, so we will send you by post, or if you want a soft copy, then you can just download from our website. So thank you again. Thank you all participants. Thank you experts.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Bye bye. Take care. Yeah, Kiran, you want to say something? Okay, sorry. One more question. So feedback link we will send you through our WhatsApp group. So you just give a valuable feedback through the WhatsApp. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Kiran, you want to say something, or shall we conclude the session?